It's happening, folks. The end is near. All those who have been predicting World War III, like Alex Jones, the evangelical Christians, and I think even SpongeBob, it has happened. It's not good news. It's not good news for a lot of people. But today is going to be one of those days to be remembered for the rest of your lives, especially if you're in the Eastern European region right now. Ukraine has invaded, or I'm sorry, Russia has finally invaded Ukraine after much speculation on what's going on overseas. Now, for those of you who don't know, I get my news from Al Jazeera primarily because they are the least westernized news source. And there's nothing worse than having all your news from a westernized viewpoint at all times. Although they have an office in UK, they are primarily a Middle Eastern news reporting agency, which is why I enjoy getting my news from them. So as it states here, St. Petersburg, Russia is trying to deny that it's actually an attack. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. But it's happening. It's happening. Putin announced that his armed forces were launching a massive operation. So no, he's not denying it at all. Against Ukraine, sending frightened Kyiv residents into the underground for shelter. Many took the road and tried to flee Ukraine's capital city. They tried to flee capital city. Official line of the Kremlin and state-friendly media of the Kremlin. Isn't that like a bent display of information? Well, there you have it. It's going to be all over the news. It's going to be on all these platforms. What's going on in Russia right now? There is a live view from...
I think we're unique because now, as you can see, we are...
There's a live view of this. I'm going to show in a second here. There it is. Live view of Kiev, depends on what part of the world you're from and what language you speak. It's a live view. Doesn't look like it's under attack, but it does, however, look abandoned. A lot going on over there. Someone commented, I put on my Facebook page also, World War III has begun. And one person said it was all Biden's administration policies. Now, listen, I'm not going to debate any of that right now. We have pluses and minuses to every president. I won't deny that. We did have the peace kept primarily with Trump in order, kind of keeping people calm in the middle of this wanting to kill Americans movement over the world, especially Kim Jong-un. I know China is very interested in taking over Taiwan, but Putin was definitely looking to be a dominant force in Europe, and especially with Ukraine, and he calmed that down. Now, remember the news that Biden had ties to Ukraine, so now all that is kind of playing out. You know, Biden is definitely on the Ukrainian side, whereas Trump was on the American side. That's just my opinion. You can say what you want about that. But there's a lot that's happening. There's only a few people, though, that we can trust to overcome all these adversities. I'll get to that in a second. Obviously, we all need Jesus right now, but maybe we also need Captain America. That's right. Joe Biden, Captain America, is going to come and save the world with chocolate chip cookie ice cream. That's right. He's going to do it. He's going to save the world, everybody. I believe it. You should believe it too. So we're going to get deep into today's show. Shawn P. Greene Show, ShawnPGreene.com. You're welcome to comment on anything on Facebook and Twitter that I. It's going to be a rough time in the Middle East. I'm sorry, in the Eastern Bloc of European countries, as Biden has has this hot seat right now in America. If you want to comment, just call me 716-253-1870. Comment on my Facebook post or instant message me. This is what's happening right now. Downtown Kyiv. You see, there's a little cop car right here. We got a couple, first responder types and a few road people on the road. But this is after the Russian invasion. It does not look threatening on this area right now, but they do have the air raid sirens going on as we're watching this live right now. 10:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time of the U.S. New York, Miami, Atlanta. This is what we're coming up against now in this new era of uncertain times, especially if you're Belarus, Poland. I mean, Belarus has been a holding site for Russian troops just north of Ukraine. We should pull that up. You know why? Because we're going to pull up a map because we don't have sufficient knowledge as a human being on what is what when it comes to geography. Like me personally, I didn't know where Ukraine was. I had no idea for many, many years. And then because they're in the news, I get a geography lesson. Pull up trusty old Google Maps. Okay. See, this is Ukraine right here. There's Kyiv. See how close right here? This is Belarus right here. Make sure you can see. Yep. That's Belarus right up here. This is the country of Belarus. Poland is right next to them. and this is all Russia. Russian troops were on the border here. They were doing exercises, pretending or saying they were just doing air defense. They were just doing operations, but as far from the truth, according to other societies, other news agencies, they Russians said that they pulled back out of Belarus, and yet within days later they pulled back in. You can see how far this little tip here of Belarus is from downtown Kiev, and it's going to rain today. So we're looking at just down the waters here, so they could do a water raid, because it looks like there's a little river or something, some sort of lake that goes right to the city. They can also penetrate from the south, waterways, highways. I mean, this is not too far over here from Kiev comparatively to other parts of the world. And then you got Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Moldova, Poland, all bordering Ukraine, part of the NATO forces, the NATO people, countries. So, what's to say if Ukraine is taken over that they won't return to the idea of invading Georgia again, which they tried a couple of years back? How far is that from Turkey, Armenia, Azer, Azerbaijan? I think that's Azerbaijan. I don't know how to pronounce it. Turkmenistan is right there. Look at all these border countries. Kazakhstan, where Borat's from. There he is. Russia is trying to soften of NATO friendly countries by having this big piece of land, which is doing well on its own. Russia's kind of mad about that after the breakup of the Soviet Union, which included all of these countries. Some of these over here, I think Kazakhstan might have been part of that former Soviet Union. Putin had conversations with Xi Jinping, and they probably were saying, "Listen, this is what we're gonna do." And I'm sure he's like, "Hey, as long as you're not going towards my direction, we're good. You want to take over Europe, fine. I'm just trying to take over the Pacific." Xi Jinping and his crew made all these man-made islands down here that they're not even registering by looking at them. But there's a bunch of man-made islands in the South China Sea that he's trying to claim territory to, and it's international waters. But that's not the news today. Today is Ukraine. Today is a significant day in European politics, European war, and the such. I'm going to try to share this. Anybody wants to have a conversation today, real quick, let's post this right now. So, if you want to get on the StreamYard chat, which will go live with me on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, Here's the login. You're welcome to join me live right now. Try to spare you all my sneezes. So what is going on? There's no telling what's happening in this video. There's no telling. We're going to save it and watch it later. I seem to have all these sneezing issues today. So there you have it. Right now we are dealing with the Ukraine. See what else is happening in the news. Not much. P. Greene Show. We are live. Shawn P. Greene Show. Shawn P. Greene Show. Let's talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to turn down this volume just a little bit more. We'll keep it rolling in the background because we're on high alert right now, man. We don't know what we're going to end up doing. All right? As Americans, Captain America, there you go. Captain America. We're going to do this. What is America going to do? Put this underneath my glasses. Look at that. Captain America wears glasses. What's Captain America going to do in this time? Captain America Biden. What's going to happen? What are we going to do? I mean, we already are complaining about gas prices that are $1 more a gallon in this country. What about the rest of the oil? On top of the oil, what about the rest of the energy? The natural gas that comes out of Russia. I guess a third of the oil comes from Russia. Who knew? So what are we going to do, guys? What's Captain America going to do about this? How is he going to respond? He's got to do something. We can't just sit there. We can't just wait for something to happen. You know, is he going to act like Theodore Roosevelt? My bad. FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Is he going to act like FDR during World War I's outbreak? During World War II outbreak? I can't remember. World War II outbreak. Is he going to act like that? Sit back, talk to UK and other leaders, and sit back and decide later after our soil gets attacked to be involved. You know, everybody knows the conspiracy theorists and all know FDR was a part of World War II. Woodrow Wilson was really the one that set it up. If you know your history in America. So how is our Captain America and our generation gonna handle this? When I say Captain America, I'm not talking about the Marvel character in, Avengers Endgame and all that stuff. I'm talking about the sitting US president. How is Captain America going to handle this situation? How is he going to respond? What is he going to do? I want to know. I mean, he talks a big talk, but, you know, I just want to know how the military leaders are going to respond to Captain America's orders, whatever they may be. Is he going to come straight out and attack? Is he going to wait 2 years before half of Europe is destroyed? Is he going to wait until another country decides, you know what, we're the best and we're gonna take you out, Russia or whatever, what's gonna happen? There's a lot of ways this can go, but today could be the beginning of the last phase of the world. You don't know that. We don't know that. We don't have time machines. There is no technology for that yet. If there was, other things would have been altered by now. Maybe they already have. But there is no time machine. We can't go forward in time. We can't go back in time. We can't figure out the plans and how to prepare. Things are going to get expensive. I guess the stock market has already crashed. Let's look at that. Let's go to stock market, the Dow Jones, all that stuff. I heard it already took a hit, like 100 points, 1,000 points almost. Let's look it up together, fellas. A lot of different sources. Global plunge. Global. See, everybody, it's doomsday for finances. If anybody's got a 401k plan, a if anybody's got any kind of retirement fund, we're getting hit. We're going to get a large hit on this. Let's go to Nasdaq. It's another one of them. Stock market. Let's see what they say. All the markets and around the world have taken a hit. Let's look at this a little closer here. Nasdaq. I mean, the percentage wise, it's not a whole lot going down. So that's okay. Not good. Amazon went down 2%. So we're looking at a minimum of 2% right now overall on a lot of big stocks. All right. Let's go to another stock market. CNN. I don't subscribe to CNN. We'll just go to New York. Go right to the source. Where are we at here? Here it is. Dow Jones took, it was about 800. Now it's still 2%, regardless. 2% of the Dow Jones right now, 670 points. So right now, Bitcoin's up almost one. Of course, Bitcoin's going to be up. Do you know why? Because that's how they're going to start funding future wars. That's right. It's going to be all cryptocurrency is going to fund war now. At least that's how I looked at it. So Dow Jones, let's see who's the biggest losers right now. I know I got some stock that I lost, but nearly not as much as some people. So it's been a big sell-off the last couple days, actually. Not a whole lot of buying since the 14th of February. 14th, 15th. 16th is when the sell-off began. And that's it. People have been selling stock since the 16th of February. And that's basically at the heat of the situation overseas. Oil's up. All these commodities are going to be up. The energy commodities, crude oil, all the heating oil, all the oil companies, they're gonna make out like bandits because they're gonna look at that. They're up. They're all up over 6%. What does that mean in your wallet? Well, do some math. If you go your gas prices times 1.06, that's how much your gas prices will be right now as of today. So wherever that gas price is, coffee's down, sugar's down, cotton is up. probably because they're going to make all these uniforms for these soldiers. Gold is up. It might even break 2,000 in the next couple weeks. Silver's up. Platinum's down. Palladium is up. Nobody even knows about palladium. Nobody. Except for people who buy it. So that's where we're at, guys. 626. That's where we're kind of banking on the economy to plunge pretty much everywhere. All I got to say is that, hey, maybe this Jesus thing is truth. So, and that's something Captain America might even say too. Not the current commander in chief, but I'm talking the religious Captain America. You know, so hopefully this could be a wake up call for church folk around the world. You know, people who have not been going to church, who have not been attending. This could be a wake up call for you to be ready, be prepared spiritually, not just be prepared for war, but be prepared for anything to happen. I got a lot of activity on my Facebook page. If you go to ShawnPGreene.com, you will see on my Facebook page, I posted World War II has begun. And I have so many comments all of a sudden on that one. One person who's Polish American is concerned because Poland is right there, his home city, hometown of his descendants, concerned about Poland. Yep. This means war, man. There's not a lot of confidence in our commander in chief to be able to handle this properly. Whatever that might mean to you, properly meaning safe ex safe exit from this intense situation. How are we going to handle this, guys? What are we going to do? What's your response? Go ahead, call. Give me a little call. Give me a comment on the YouTube page. We're live right now, and we'll be live at least for a half an hour. Join on the StreamYard if you want to join in on the conversation. Just tell me what you think. It's no good. Ukraine is right there, smack in the middle of Europe. And actually, it's Western Europe, but it's smack right in the middle of the two continents of Europe and Asia. And it's pretty much a center point between Western and Eastern countries of Europe and even the Far East, China, India, and even the Middle East. I mean, it wasn't too long ago we were in Afghanistan, and it wasn't too long ago. Well, it was quite a while ago, but that we were fighting against Russia for the invasion of Afghanistan. Remember, John Rambo saved Afghanistan. Remember that? And then John Rambo had to go back in there with Captain America to invade them. You know who I'm talking about. The other Captain America right after 9/11. Hmm. So here we go with comments. Some people are saying stuff like Russia is not fighting against the Ukrainians specifically. Now, there is a little backstory to all this. As far as I know, there's a group of separatist people, this part of the country, who are Russian speaking and Russian sympathizers. The Russian, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Loyalists. When the Soviet Union crumbled, they stayed loyal to the Russian country's culture and everything. So they remained living in the area known as Ukraine, but they are loyal to a Russian sect of religious views, political views, military, militia views, militarial views. My speech is not perfect. And so there was some fighting between the Russian Ukrainians and the Ukrainians that are loyal to their separate life from the former Soviet Union. But they call these Russian sympathizers the separatists. At least some people call them that. So, long story short, Berlaire is still a friend to Russia. Was a training ground a couple weeks ago for military procedures. Who knows why they chose that area? But a lot of NATO force, people are assuming that it was because they're getting ready to invade Russia or invade Ukraine, and they might have been right, but nonetheless, they have invaded already. Okay, so somebody showed a picture of an explosion site. Okay, let me see if I can pull this up here. I'm gonna do this right real quick. I'll pull this up on the screen. See if I can pull this up. Yeah, there you go. Somebody shared this on my Facebook page. I don't know how accurate this is, but these are the explosion sites as reported by a gentleman here somewhere, probably Western New York. I don't know. But anyways, here's the sites. Here's downtown Kiev, as we were talking about, Kiev. Here's all the separatist area that were kind of like being held, or they're trying to move in probably from Russia and then further invade Kiev during this distraction. Moldova is right there. It's not too far away, and they could get caught up in the action. Me personally, if I was at Moldova, I'd be packing my bags right now, getting ready to head towards Romania, at least for the immediate future. That's just my opinion. That's just what I think could be or would be done. So looks like this whole area is being bombarded. Okay. Again, and then this is the southernmost tip. Okay. Southernmost region under Ukraine. I forgot the name of this area, but this is all part of Russia as well. So you see, if they're gonna be attacking Ukraine and successfully taking over Kiev, what's to say Georgia is not going to be on that next bucket list? Because they've already expressed desire to take over Georgia, which would be bordering Turkey at that point. You know, the Turks, they're not going to take that lightly either. But see how close that is right now? Georgia, and then what's in this area? Armenia, which was a desire for these two. These two countries warred against each other quite a bit. and the Armenians that entered Turkey during the war were persecuted. There's a long history of that during World War One, World War Two. But see how close Russia would be. Georgia, Turkey, Armenia. Who's to say these two wouldn't be overtaken? And right here is the hot spot where ISIS was operating in, primarily Syria and Iraq, but they also try to invade. Uh, they did successfully invade Damascus. So you want to talk about World War II? You want to talk about end times? You want to talk about Armageddon, the coming of the Lord? What do you want to talk about? There's a lot of things. You want to talk about all these options. I mean, these are real tense areas in the world right now. And I just turned 50, and I was a Gulf War veteran. One of my fellow Gulf War veterans who was a pilot is on my Facebook page making comments. But I was an aviation fueler, so more likely I fueled his plane during the Gulf War, which is 1990, 1991, that winter. And we invaded Iraq because Kuwait was invaded by Iraq. So we were there. We were here in the Gulf War. Our ship, the USS Ranger, was in the Persian Gulf with the USS Midway. We were attacking sorties all over the boundary here of Kuwait. Plus, other ships were 2 aircraft carriers were in the Red Sea, also flying sorties from this direction. I mean, plus we had Saudi Arabia as our holding place right here up in this area to infiltrate Kuwait from the south, but we also were infiltrating Iraq from their southern border surrounding the city of Kuwait. Okay, there's a long story to talk about when it comes to war in the last 40 years. But the focus today is this invasion of Ukraine. They've already up here, the forces of the Russians are already been stationed in Belarus for so long. They surround the eastern coast of Ukraine as well as access to the southern border. And really, the Black Sea is really their domination, is one of their main important areas they want to control because it has access to. Ukraine is just part of that. If they can conquer most of this coast here of the Black Sea, they're going to try to take over this coast here on Turkey. And I don't think that's going to end well. But Moldova, Romania, Bulgaria, it's only a matter of time before Istanbul, which is a major port city between the Mediterranean, the Sea of Marmara, and the Black Sea, which should give Russia more access to more resources from around Africa, Europe, around the world, etc. We got the Suez Canal here, so this Black Sea is a major gateway for resources for Russia. I mean, this is a frozen tundra all around this area. Even though it's a large country, there's not a whole lot going on around here. It's mostly around the southern border of their country that they have any kind of vegetation year round. There's seaways up in the north, mostly frozen waters as well. Very difficult to, float around the horn of the Scandinavian countries to get to resources in Europe. So this Black Sea right now is a key waterway for Russia. The Baltic Sea as well, can be used to access some resources, but they want what China wants. They want access to Africa. and all their resources and all their people. Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. But this is it, guys. What is Captain America going to do today? Catherine Sienna says it's a guy thing. Well, Catherine, I beg to differ. If Hillary Clinton was in charge, she probably would already have had troops on the ground. She have already destroyed. You guys don't know recent history. Benghazi, right here, northern Libya. We lost many people because of her actions, because of her. I'm not even going to try to get into it. As a Secretary of State, she was not a great person to be in control of military. You can call it a guy thing. So here's a quote somebody posted on my Facebook. The victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. This is the victory. Okay, God has not given us spirit of fear, but love, power, and a sound mind. 1 Timothy 1:7. That's right. We don't fear this stuff. Of course we don't. I don't. But if I was on the front lines right now, yeah, it's quite possible would have some level of fear and anxiety and uncertainty. You know, I mean, those of you people who are living in New York City during January or September 11th, 2001, known as just 9/11, you had a lot of fear that day. I know you had fear. And I know some people are just hardcore and they just have no feelings about anything. But I know you had some level of fear during that time. It's easy for us to speak the word of God, but to live the word of God, not fearing during an invasion when you're at the altar or you're in your house praying to Jesus, and all of a sudden the building that you're living in gets bombed by an aggressor. It's not easy to have faith. It's not easy to not have fear. I'd be fearful of that. You know, even while I was in the Gulf during our sorties, we had general quarters called a couple times, and there was fear that we were going to be invaded somehow, or there was some sort of you know a bomb or a mine out in the waters. You just don't know what's going to happen. War, people who are aggressive in war are unpredictable. Unst- they might have strategy. They might have something important to do in their minds to achieve, but sometimes you got crazy people operating, different different companies, different battalions, different whatever. People will act irrational in war at times. The evil people that are operating war and are involved in war, those are the people that I worry about the most because they're unpredictable. They might have commanding officers, they might have orders that tell them this is what you need to do, this is what's happening, this is how we're going to do it. And yet they go rogue and they do their own thing. There's no telling how things will happen during times of war. There are a lot of untold stories of soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines and the Coast Guard. There's a lot of stories untold during war that people don't express because, number one, it could trigger their own PTSD. It could spur up some guilt. It could spur up a lot of issues of the heart now as they're older that they didn't really regard when they were younger. Sometimes it was because they were evil and they did evil things, and sometimes they were innocent and they experienced evil things. There's no telling, what's inside the heart of a man. Nobody knows. And there's a lot of stories that have been untold during war. We don't know what's going to happen the next couple days, next couple weeks. But news stations have been reporting this on, in the last couple of days. Intelligence says that attack is imminent. And here it is, Thursday, February 24th, 2022. We just got done with this worldwide pandemic. I mean, the Omicron variant, if you will. They're saying there's an outbreak out in Oregon right now. But it's almost like immediately after this, we have the Winter Olympics in Beijing. We had no ratings, I guess, as far as I heard. People were not supportive of China in general during this Beijing Olympics, Winter Olympics. And how about that Russian skater that was doping, but she was allowed to compete, even though she won't get any awards? You know, I'm not trying to bad talk anybody in particular. I'm not really here to try to bash anybody, but I don't think, whatever the motives that Russia has for invading Ukraine, for any reason, it doesn't matter for what reason, I think is unethical. And it's almost as if they're trying to thwart the end times told by the book of Revelation. If you look at Revelation, you'll see that Gog and Magog, which is exactly in this area, okay, Gog and Magog will be coming from the north to invade Israel. Whether you believe it or not, this is that area right here. Moscow, Kiev, coming down to Israel. This is Turkey, I'm sorry, right down here. So this is all part of that plan. The Black Sea, you overtake that, you take Georgia, you get Turkey, and you got Israel. Turkey is like the biggest buffer that Russia has from Israel. Even though Turkey is more of a secular country, it still has a lot of Muslim influence, but it's a secularized society. There's no telling which way that will go when the fighting ensues in that region again. So ISIS, they did their best, but silenced a lot of people during his time, during during a time of war or the rumors of war. Kept a lot of people quiet, and I tell you what, the world celebrated. I would say even Russia even celebrated when Biden became president. They're like, great, now we have a leader who we know has no idea what's going on. That's just my opinion. Captain America. What will Captain America do? We should get some new bracelets instead of what would Jesus do, which is that's the policy to really go by. What would Captain America do? WWCAD. Shawn P. Greene Show. We're just we're just spotlighting an intense moment in history. It's starting to get dark now in Kiev. It's only 10:51 a.m. here Eastern Time, USA. We are waiting what Captain America will say. I'm sure he'll come out very soon about this. If he hasn't already, I'm not really paying attention to live coverage from the other networks. We're just showing some video footage of Kiev, downtown. Stock market still at 2%, going down negative 2%. Massive sell-off in the last week since the 16th. 15th people were buying, 16th people were selling, and it hasn't gone back. Never look. If you want to know what that means, the red and the yellow, or red and green. The green means people are buying heavy. So back in December, people were buying heavy. Even mid-January, people buying heavy. And there was actually a lot of activity from January 20 to February 2nd. And then bam, since February 3rd, a lot of more activity of sell-offs. People are selling. So what was the low? This is a low point here. 39.24 was a low point in the last year. And we're headed towards that right now. We're headed back down after, 600 points. It's not incredibly difficult to rebound from 600 points. 2% is a significant amount of cash flow for some 401ks. Got a lot of activity on my comments here. Those of you who are scared, I can understand. I pray for peace for you guys. I pray for peace for Jerusalem. I pray for peace in the Middle East. And I pray for peace for Ukraine and Russia. I don't want to see anybody lose their life over this. I love Alan. Alan's my former Navy veteran comrade. Maybe not the right choice of words. Alan is the former pilot I was telling you about here that lives here in Buffalo. I don't think we're gonna. I'm not gonna get into that controversy between my former Navy veteran comrade, Mr. Snelson, who was with me on that ship as well during the Gulf War. These guys want to get at it. Shawn P. Greene show isn't about cussing. I'll leave that to Facebook and all that. Let them. This is great. Great dialogue, great conversation. You want to see some hot chatting right now? You just go into it. Go to my Facebook page. Go to ShawnPGreene.com. I got some chatter going on between Alan and Scott. If you want to check that out. Facebook is you can see my Facebook link right there. ShawnPGreene.com. Check it out. So we're gonna have all coverage from all the different networks all day, all night, probably for a week, a whole week of this chatter about Trump and Biden, and we're gonna have all this thing, the blame game is going to be big. Okay, the blame game will be big. So just keep it locked. Shawn P. Greene will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll recap some things that I wanted to get into. But in the meantime, Captain America, what are we going to do, Captain America? What's going to happen? What is your next move, Captain America? What will you do, Captain America? What will you do when Russia barrels down on you? It was for the lack of for a lack of skill. I would say I am not the best Hulk Hogan impressionist, especially at I haven't had my Tim Hortons coffee. Not that that's important to you guys, but my daughter's had her winter break all week. Typically, I'll take her to school and I'll stop at Tim Hortons, get my coffee, and I'm raring to go for the show. Didn't happen today. So, anyways, keep it locked. Al Jazeera is my favorite source of information when it comes to current events from a Middle Eastern perspective. I also go to RT, which is Russia Today. They have their own perspective on what's going on. And then I also go check out some of the other platforms. And I very rarely go to the U.S. platforms because, number one, it's all talk. And number two, it's all advertisement. It's not really about news, it's about advertisement. Every American channel, apart from cable, that you got to pay for, is all about advertisements. So when I'm watching NBC of any television show, sure the program could be fun and all, but it's really about advertisements. It's about GlaxoSmith. It's about Pfizer. It's about all the different drug companies out there to try to keep you sick so that you can go to the doctor more often and get more prescription of that medication. So don't get me started on that. We're at war here, guys. And our part in this war really depended on Captain America. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Shawn P. Greene, ShawnPGreene.com. Keep it locked.